Hey folks, Chris McLean back again with another episode, and in the studio today I've got Tony Lloyd from Pathfinder Digital Marketing, and they educate small businesses on how to leverage the marketing services offered by Google. Tony, great to have you here, and let's excited to learn more about PPC and stuff on Google. So great to have you here. Yeah, thanks for swinging by.
Appreciate it, Chris. Thank you for your time to have me here, man. Definitely means a lot.
So let's always like to start at the start. So what got you into the whole Google suite of services, and were you doing stuff before Google and then you just found that was the best place to be, or how did you sort of get into being the expert in Google marketing services?
Well, from 2008 to 2014, I was actually a private military contractor. And right. I left that when my son was born, and my skills didn't exactly translate to the civilian lifestyle. So go figure. So I took a job as an executive sales rep for Toyota, Southeast Toyota here in the area. They handle Georgia, Alabama, Florida, South Carolina, all the Toyota dealerships here. So it's Toyota Southeast. Right. And if you know anything about, if you ever sold anything, normally, especially if you sell cars, majority of the time people stand outside the dealership. You wait for someone to pull up, and then they're either there to buy a car, sell a car, or service department type of situation. And if someone's there, then it sucks because you're there in the rain, the heat, whatever the weather's throwing at you. So I was like, there's got to be a better way to do this. So I started teaching myself, self-taught through YouTube videos, what Google Ads are, what WordPress is, what Google My Business is, coding for all that stuff. And so I started doing it for myself. The owner of the area, Mr. Mitchell, realized Tony is selling stuff, but Tony never stands outside and chases people like everyone else. What's he doing differently? I told him, well, I'm making videos. I have a YouTube channel. You can still see it, Toyo Tony, Toyo, on Facebook. Everyone will laugh at something. All that stuff's there. And then he was like, that's great. Can you do it for the dealership? And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. I didn't know digital marketing was an actual field, an industry. Yeah. So he dumped in my hands a $10,000 a month minimum account for one of his dealerships, and I was baptized in it. I figured out Google Ads hardcore, learned that Google had a system, had classes, lectures, certificates. I started taking those, and now I'm a licensed Google data engineer.
Wow.
Story short.
Wow. Yeah. It's funny how a lot of people just kind of fall into this stuff, and it often starts with, I'm just doing it for myself for some sort of purpose. I'm not either trying to just to upskill, or I've got a side hustle. I've got something going on for myself that I'm trying to get going. And then that turns into somebody seeing them doing that and going, hey, could you do that for me? That'd be kind of cool.
Exactly. Yeah. One thing led to another. I was doing it for him, and another small business here learned I was just talking about. They're like, oh, can you do it for me? And now I have a company.
Yeah, right.
I'm my own doing it.
Yeah. And do you still sort of stick in service in that sort of local marketing? Is that the sort of niche that you follow, or do you go service all sorts of businesses?
So I currently have 120 clients in 14 different countries. Currently, the mass majority of the bulk of my clients are small businesses, less than 100 employees. Well, small businesses are labeled differently, but less than 100 employees. The majority of my clients. I have clients in the e-commerce world. I have clients that are larger businesses that I consult with them in the consulting purposes for PPC, and it's great. But I learned that digital marketing, especially Google Ads, Google PPC, is something that every business hears about, but they don't know how to do it. It's that black box of Google, SEO, PPC, and social media. They don't understand how to use it. So I've learned I mainly stick on the educational side, try to teach businesses about it. I do handle it hands-on for a mass majority of my clients, but my specialty is helping out small businesses. Because sadly, in our industry, as you may know, there's bad in every industry. A lot of people just take advantage of them. And proves zero results, and I'm just not like that. And what separates me from other marketers, with my licensing, Google holds me to a standard. So if I mess up, not only do I answer my client, I got to answer to Google too.
Yeah, I think that's really important. In that, you say a lot of the times that the barrier to entry to start doing this stuff and like become a digital marketer and start selling services to local businesses is pretty low. It's a really low barrier to entry. Right. You can, as you said, I can go on YouTube and I can self-educate enough that I say, yeah, sure, I can run PPC ads on Google. Great, let me go find some customers. But the number of times we then see people in Facebook groups saying, hey, I've just landed this great client. How do I run SEO campaigns?
Oh my
how do I do
Yes.
Facebook ads? I've signed a client up that paid me money, but I don't actually know how to do the thing that I've just sold them on. So definitely there's a lot of cowboys out there, but like we were saying, if people like yourself that have actually taken that next step to being certified, you got to answer to Google. That's a bigger call in, as it gives your clients a level of discernibility that you're actually going to deliver for them, right?
Yeah, it's a level of confidence, and you've nailed it right on the head, man. Because a lot of times I'll be in this. I don't mind helping people or educating people. I was there at that one point where I didn't know what I was doing either, but I was doing it for myself, not for others. No one was paying me, and I get that, but you see it too. Some kid makes a Facebook page for mom and dad. And they're like, "Oh, I could do social media," and go out and charge them like $2,000. And I'm like, "What are you charging them for?"
They don't even know. They just got the client on there, like, oh shit, I better work out how to do this thing. And unfortunately, that does happen, and it kind of stains the rest of the industry, right? It stains people like yourself that are actually out there doing the right thing and trying to do the right thing by customers, which is actually helping them make money in their business and grow their businesses, right?
A good marketer doesn't just make the phone call ring. They worry about their client's online reputation as a whole. So even though my company specializes solely in PPC, we do offer on-site, off-site SEO, social media consulting, website design, build, and maintenance. But we specialize on PPC. But when you hire a marketer, they have to be aware and maintain the client's complete online reputation. Like, be aware of everything that's happening, because a string of wrong reviews, of bad reviews, and poof, the client's off. Google removes the client from the search engine. Like, that's it. You get Google slapped.
Yeah, there's a whole ecosystem there. Yeah, definitely worth having that consideration of the the omni-channel, the whole pie, not just looking at your slice or the little piece of crust that you're dealing with and go, we'll just tinker with this bit and change this up if that's impacting, right, the rest of the ecosystem in a negative way.
It does. That's the biggest thing a lot of people don't realize. Whenever you do something online, it impacts your entire online reputation as a whole, everything.
So how do you manage? So take me through the suite of Google tools. As somebody that I know a little bit about SEO and PPC and the stuff that Google offers, but going deeper into that Google offering, obviously it's much more significant than people realize once you really get into it. Where are you finding the best opportunities for business to use Google, and what's that suite of tools look like for a small business that wants to grow?
The biggest area where I see small businesses lack is the Google My Business app, or the Google My Business profile, which is AKA, it's also known as Google Maps. Does the company show up in Google Maps? And a lot of businesses will have that. They set it up, but then it's a set and forget feature, and no one handles it or maintain it. What's even worse is that over time, Google will actually auto-create a listing for that business, and then it's an unverified listing online. Or no one maintains the listing. They made it, no one maintains it, and it becomes unverified. And the reason I keep saying this is because these unverified listings, anybody with an axe to grind and about 5 hours of like bad YouTube training can figure out how to claim an unverified listing. And once a person that shouldn't have control of that does, they can remove the business's website from Google. They can move the business's location. They can do a lot of damage with that. And I've seen that happen to businesses where all of a sudden their listing disappears, or a disgruntled employee won't release the listing, won't release the Google My Business listing to the company. It can cause a lot of issues. That's where your reviews are at as well. And reviews on Google as matters, because the review that someone leaves for you is indexed in search, and your response to the review is also indexed in search as well. So I go in there, I sit down with businesses, and I have them. The first thing I do is check that if it's verified and controlled. And if it is controlled, I sit down with the client and have them log into it, and it blows their mind. I just had a client that's a does wedding dresses, tuxedos, and prom dresses. Right now it's prom season for them. And I sat down with her, opened up her Google My Business listing, and looked at her data, and she showed up in 7,000 different searches, and over 4,000 people clicked on their link to go to their website. And I was like, did you have 4,000 people come into your shop? And she said, no. I had like 80 or something like that. The number was really low.
Wow.
Traffic, what was going on here? I was like, listen, no one can get you 100% of the traffic. That's just impossible. If anyone promises that, they're lying to you. But we can at least increase the amount of people calling you, build remarketing ads. If they showed interest in your product, good, or services, well, in this case, a product would be a wedding dress. We remarket to them as well. We've all been a victim of remarketing. You show interest in the product, and that product shows up everywhere online, chases you around for a couple of days. There's a right way and wrong way to do that. Showing her the process of, posting current pictures on Google, making posts on Google, which are similar to Facebook, except they have to be keyword specific, because they also show up in search as well. And then just replying to reviews. And those little things, that's all offsite SEO. Those little things can grow and affect the business dramatically. It's free traffic. It's a free resource that businesses don't leverage properly. And when they do, it greatly significates their impact, their bottom line, which is $1. I have a restaurant client. We just took it over, rebuilt their entire Google My Business profile. Started getting the reviews coming in. And in about 4 to 3 months, his revenue grew to 35%. And now his Google My Business listing is 47% of his business.
Wow.
Of money coming in the front door. It's all trackable, every last bit of it.
Wow. That's significant.
Yeah, that's a lot of money for a small business.
Yeah.
And that can mean, especially right now with COVID going on, that can mean the difference between closing your doors and keeping your doors open. And we're not even done yet. We're rebuilding his website. We're doing a full structure of his menu and everything to make it more enticing to the user to get that click, or them to call, to place an order online, whatever it takes to complete that call to action to get them that dollar bill, to get them that revenue coming in.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I'd never, personally, I would never have really, I think I've got a Google My Business set up, probably like a lot of people before they get to you, sort of set something up. Every time you set up a Gmail account and address, you kind of set up a thing. I don't necessarily have a physical location like a pizza shop or a cafe or something like that that's on Google Maps. But even if I don't have a physical location, is this still something that's important for me to get set up, a Google My Business?
Extremely.
Is it essentially like a Google version of my website? Is that a way that you might classify it? Because you're talking about sort of posts and content and that sort of thing.
You link your website to Google My Business, so there's social links. So Google sees, this website belongs to this company. A big myth is you have to have an office to have Google My Business, and you don't. When I first started, I have an office. I was working out of my house, and whatever coffee shop I could sit at. You tell Google, hey, this is the area I want to work in. And you want to define those areas, so there's no reason why you yourself can't leverage your local economy to get more listeners to your podcast or anything like that. So no, you don't need a physical location to use Google My Business. There's a way to properly set it up that your home address won't show up on Google, so people aren't showing up at your front door. If you can still, I've seen that set up by accident. But you can still leverage that local traffic, so you have the right to show up with any of your competitors, or you have the right to show up that, hey, I'm a podcast for XYZ reason, visit my site and listen to me and subscribe to my podcast type of situation. If your business, and you should have a Google My Business profile online. It's non-negotiable. You should have one.
I'm so really starting to understand the power of it. And I can imagine really the power of that for somebody that does have that Google Maps listing as well. I can imagine a cafe, a restaurant, a pub, a bar, where literally I'm going to Google Maps to find my way there, or Google's the first place I'm going to go to find out what was the name of that place, where are they located. So how do I then, you talk about sort of reviews and all that kind of stuff, how do I start to influence, once I've claimed my business, how do I start to influence the content that's present there? How do I start to get more reviews? Is that something that I can sort of start to, how do I get more people reviewing the business? Is that something you can drive as a marketer?
So there's a couple different ways to do it. In Google, Google will give you a review link. I can't remember the exact name off the top of my head, but it's a review link, very clearly stated, and you can customize the review link as well. And once it's created, it can be emailed and texted to people. So some of my clients that are entertainment venues, I might tell them, hey, before these people walk out the front door, if they've had a great experience with you, tell them, hey, would you please leave us a review? And you just text it to them. It's idiot proof, man. It's 3 steps. You send them the review, they click on it, they leave the review, they click submit, and that's it. The review's there. And then you respond to it as well. Now, there's a proper way to grow. You don't want to get too many reviews because Google's real smart, and it knows no one really goes viral for anything unless you're extremely lucky. Right. So reviews is one way. Pictures are one thing, or another avenue as well. And pictures of lifestyle. So, for example, if I'm going to see a dentist, I'll look at the Google My Business review and see what their office looks like and see who the dentist is. Businesses with an up-to-date images, especially of this is the guy that's going to be working on your teeth. This is Dr. So-and-so, and this is his staff, and this is the lady you'll see when you walk in the front door. It puts me at ease. It puts a lot of people at ease that they already know, oh, that's the face I saw. And that actually increases your conversions. I think it's like 48% of that person coming in. I know every day searches on Google, over 46% of those searches are for local. Another way is posting on Google. There's what's new, there are specials, there are update posts. A lot of my businesses, it's just like a what's new post, and it's a picture, description, call to action. And they have to remember, you got to put that call to action in there, man. By doing that, and in the description, being very specific on what's going on. If some of my real estate clients, I have them fill out information where this house is available for sale. My entertainment clients, whenever a new venue opens, they post that on Google, and all those will show up in search as well. Just by doing that, replying to reviews, you will see an increase in your business. Videos, uploading videos onto Google, and photos. You can upload full feature photos. Full feature videos. Like I have 10-minute videos that are on my YouTube channel, on my Google My Business listing. And then as a post, for whatever reason, Google only lets you upload a 10-second video. So it's a little bit more difficult. You got to get creative, but it can be done as well. Yeah. And those will show up in search on the search engine as well.
Right. So I guess it's then important to also factor in and tie that back to keywords in that sort of classic SEO kind of structure as well, to have that, again, just posting kind of random stuff. It's at least a bit curated to saying, to tag in some of your keywords. So restaurant, Michigan, restaurant, blah, blah, blah.
What I see a lot of people doing, they treat Facebook like Google. And Facebook's not a search engine. It's an entertainment. It's an entertainment platform. It's a social platform. Now, I own my own e-com stores, and I've made sales off Facebook. It works. You can sell off Facebook. But think about, like, our area is very touristy related. So when people travel here, or if you travel, you whip out Google, and you're like, where's the best barbecue at? Or where's my hotel located at? And you're using Google search to find that information. And that's how people have to think. It's a search engine. They're called wallet words, is what I consider them to. When someone's ready for your service, like a plumber, and a plumber is not going to go to a TV ad or radio or billboard ad. They're going to pull out their phone while they're pissed off that their toilet's running. Then I need a plumber now. Well, those Google My Business listings, that's what's going to show up on that phone. He's going to call whoever shows up.
It's the customer. I guess that's the benefit and the beauty of Google, is that as a platform, as you say, compared to your Instagram or your Facebook, when you're on LinkedIn, when you're on Google, you are searching for a product, or you're at least sort of solution aware. You know what you're looking for. I'm looking for, where is this restaurant? I'm looking for, I want to buy new sneakers. What's the latest Nike sneaker? So it's a search. Whereas on Facebook, an ad shows up while I'm doing other stuff. Yes, it might be related to stuff that I like, but I'm not looking for that thing specifically. It's showing up, and if it piques my interest and my attention, then yes. But it's a different criteria, right? It's a different context, and that's I guess the power of leveraging Google.
And sadly, I see a lot of businesses treat Facebook like Google, and it failed every single time. And it's just a lack of education. It's just educating the client. Hey, these are the differences between lead generation and lead capture, and this is how we're going to separate them. And this is why Google is such an important platform. Now, every business should be using both at a bare minimum, but excuse me. But depending on their industry, product, good, or service, how much of Facebook or Google are going to be using. I have clients that Facebook is their primary source of leads, and everything's backed up with Facebook remarketing, and then vice versa.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so really important to understand the context and where in that user journey the customer is. Am I searching for a restaurant to go eat at tonight, or am I just kind of interested in food? Right, same person, different context, different platform. And if you, and then how you speak to that customer and the words you use, and whether there's call to actions and what those are, very, very different depending on the context of the platform. So yeah, I think that's a great point for people to recognize that you want to be saying the right things at the right time on the right platform, depending on how you try and what do you want that customer to do with your business.
When someone goes to Google, they have a want, a need, or a question that needs to be satisfied immediately, and that's why they go there.
Mm-hmm. So when I'm linking this stuff to my website, am I linking just to an SEO optimized homepage? Am I linking people into specific landing pages? How do I kind of make that connection work as best as I can? Is it just having a really well optimized SEO plan for my website?
First of all, hopefully, and this was a little hard, hopefully your URL will match your business. So one of my URLs I have is Tony PPC because it's a shorter URL, but my primary URL is Pathfinder Digital Marketing. So you want your URL to match your Google My Biz listing. You want them to make sense together. So they have to be relevant. That builds brand trust. Okay. Your phone number on your website should be clickable and should be the same in your Google My Biz listing. Unless you're running ads and you have special call tracking conversions, that's a whole nother story for another problem, but primarily same phone number. Your address, if you're a local business, especially if you're a business that accepts people to come in the front door and buy something from you physically, if that's an option, it should definitely be on there. And when someone clicks on it, it should tab open to your Google My Biz listing so they can see where the business is as well. If you have sales or new products that someone can buy off the website and you have a page for that, your post on Google My Business should mimic that page, and then you should have a call to action that goes to that URL on your page as well. That call to action might say buy now, learn more, sign up, whatever it is, whatever's relevant to what you're doing. You need to have that URL on the post as well, because a lot of people, they'll post something and then they don't put the call to action. And I think it's Google's fault that they do that, because you actually, when you're building it out, you have to scroll down to get to it, and a lot of businesses will miss it. So it's by default, I think it's bad design. But anyways, they forget to put that URL, and then people are seeing it, but there's no click or call to action. You're a business. There's always a call to action. Watch my YouTube video, download my PDF, sign up for my newsletter, buy my product, come in and buy my product. Whatever it may be, that has to be clearly stated on there and on the website as well. The biggest thing is truth. Don't lie about anything on Google. Google will find out, and then you'll get penalized for it. And I can't tell you my time businesses do that, where they're just flat out lying. Like, you can't do that, guys. You gotta be truthful about your product and services.
What do you mean about lying? Just saying you have a product that you don't have, or a discount that you don't have, or putting
out-of-date discounts. They forget to update their website. They move, and then their links on their website don't go to the proper listing as well. They forget to update the listing. They forget to update their hours of operation. They change their phone number. They do just flat out. They'll do what's called they'll do keyword stuffing on their listing. So on your title, it'll be Bob's Plumbers, and the name of his company is called Bob's Plumbers. But then they go Bob's Plumbers in Dothan, Alabama, Houston County. Water heaters, plumbing, toilets. But you can't do that, guys. The name of your business isn't Bob Plumbers, Dothan, Alabama. It's Bob's Plumbers. Don't keyword stuff that. So it's just those type of things. And a lot of times, like I said, it's just a lack of education what they're trying to do, or someone gave them some bad information, and then I get the phone call saying, "Hey, Tony, I heard about your company. My Google My Biz listing has been suspended or taken down for XYZ reason." And I'm like, "Ooh, we have a problem."
So as when you're trying to game the system or hack the system, it's the system's smarter than you are. It might have worked for somebody at one point for a smaller amount of time, or a different time in Google's ecosystem, right? Maybe something worked when it was a bit more Wild West 5-10 years ago, but they catch up pretty quickly. So
Yeah.
I think that's a massive caveat, is to be very, very wary of the latest thing or a hack or a cracking the code of doing stuff that's actually going to be more damaging in the long run. And authenticity and genuineness wins.
I see it all the time where people promise, "Oh, we'll get you the top of ranking Google in 2 weeks or whatever," and I'm like, ugh. I've been pretty good. I've gotten my clients to rank in 7 days, but that's not the norm at all. Not even close. I had one client we were running YouTube ads for, and he's like, "Tony, I like 2 days later, I got leads immediately," and I was all, "Great. That's not the norm. Let's let this run a bit longer." It's really bringing them down to earth and helping them understand what it really is. Because we hear it all the time, like, "I'll increase website traffic by 300%, get sales today," stuff like that. Heck, my onboarding process for my clients, just for Google Ads alone, it takes 10 days. And I had a guy who he wasn't a client yet, he's a client now. He told me flat out, "Well, your competitor said they gave me up and running in 2 days." And I was like, "Yeah, I can build an ad in 45 minutes, but it doesn't mean it's going to work right."
Yeah.
And now he's my client.
Yeah, as we were saying sort of earlier on in the piece, there's a lot of cowboys and charlatans out there in the space that have wild claims, and unfortunately that sets an expectation with the market, right? And you're getting people saying they've promised me page 1 of Google for my market. They've all said they said they'll build me a website for $300. They'll get me this for $200. And it takes people to actually know what they're doing to sort of be willing to step up and talk to clients and exactly what you're doing, actually educate them on what this stuff actually means, because there's a lot of misinformation, unfortunately, out in the industry. And unfortunately, a lot of that stuff is very visible to the market.
It's
important. So in terms of educating clients, what does that process look like for you? Are you running online trainings? Are you running webinars? Do you run sort of courseware and online training? Or is it sort of...
I am building some online training currently. That'll probably be live later on this year for businesses that probably can't afford a marketer or afford me. It'll be an online course monthly that they can pay for and just have access to custom videos for them. But right now I do a lot of public speaking. Even during COVID, I was still doing a lot of virtual speeches as well. That really opens up a lot of eyes because I don't do PowerPoints. I do live actionable with my dashboard or a client's dashboard that I had permission to use. I show them live, hey, this is what happens when you work with Google, what ads do, what Google My Biz does, what SEO means, what analytics is, what Data Studio, Search Console, all those tools that Google offers you. These are what they are. This is what they look like, and this is what happens in them. And they look at it, they're like, I've never seen that in my life. And I've been paying this marketer for the last 3 years. I'm like, well, you're going to have to get access to this. My YouTube channel, I'm always trying to keep that the best I can on my own content creation, up to date with the latest on Google. On TikTok, I'm able to sadly keep those videos up to date more than my YouTube videos are. I always post on there daily anything that's happening, because that our industry changes immediately. Everything I tell you now, 3 months later, is gonna be useless. So it's a lot of seminars, a lot of webinars, and then a lot of YouTube videos and educating clients.
Awesome. And
sitting down with them, holding their hand, which a lot of marketers don't do that. They don't give that one-on-one touch. Or just like, well, here, read this PowerPoint, and that doesn't make sense, because they don't know. If the client knew something, if the client knew that they didn't know, they would know something, but they don't. So I sit down with them, like, all right, step 1, let me hold your hand. Let's look at this. Cool. Let's look at this. Let me explain this. Let me explain that. And then they go like, holy crap, that's amazing. That's how this works. Like, yeah, that's how Google works.
Awesome, man. Love it. Love the approach. So if people do want to find out more about you, connect with you, there's a couple places up on screen there. But for those that are listening at home, where's the best place for people to come and connect with you, find out more about what you do?
Well, to show proof of work, you can literally just Google me. Tech Tony, TECTONY, and I'll show up in Google search, my YouTube, my podcast as well. But Facebook.com, Pathfinder DM, or I do have a public Facebook group, Grow Your Small Business with Google. You can look that up. Or you just type in my website, Tony PPC, that's TonyPayPerClick.com. and all my contact information with my mobile phone that you can call or text will be there as well.
Amazing. So yes, you are. If you can, you'd be hypocritical if people could Google you and not find you, I suppose.
Right? Proof of concept. Just proof of my work, you know.
Yeah, just proving your business model out for yourself. Love it. Go connect with Tony. He knows a lot about this space, and particularly if you're a local business that could be suffering at the moment, that's been forced into the digital world. You might not know what's going on out there because that's what's happened over the last year. Obviously, what's going on in the world, everyone's been forced online. Brick and mortar, cafes, restaurants, hospitality, all that kind of stuff. Real estate now have to have presence online. If you don't know what that looks like, how that works, get in touch with Tony. Go find him, Google him, and get him to come in and educate you and help you get your Google presence up and running.
Chris, it was a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolute pleasure, mate. Loved having you on. A lot of insights there for people in both spaces, both in the marketing space on how to get this stuff working for their clients, but also for the clients out there on why and how important this stuff is for your business. Loved having you here. And thanks for everyone at home for tuning in. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Have a good day.